all your feelings, all your emotions into a big jug. There's no wrong answers, unless it's throwing the jug at your spouse.
Did you put all of your emotions into one jug?
One jug. All your emotions into one jug.
Oh dear. You build up a lot of pressure and it's gonna crack and break and explode.
All right. It could power Charleston. What are some things it might have? Okay, power Charleston, explode, other, what else? Could feel empty. Yeah. So this concept, it's a central concept to our work. And we do it at this place in the curriculum because participants have seen if it's safe to be vulnerable or not. You know, they learn a lot about that decision from how their partner responds during talking tips. If they've seen that they could do talking tips and confide something that their partner likely didn't agree with, didn't see the same way, but that was safe, then that's an important building block to the next exercise. If for whatever reason they didn't see that, then they're probably going to be very hesitant about the next exercise. So the concept of the emotional jug is that if you poured all your feelings into one, or if you imagine that you were that jug, that there's some things that are important to know. First of all, upsetting, painful feelings have different energy than pleasant, uplifting feelings. So if you're holding on to anger, sadness, fear, disappointment, frustration, and feelings have no sense of time. Emotions from 50 years ago can be just as present today, especially if someone does something that triggers us, that reminds us of something that was upsetting from our past. It's like we can instantly go into that folder where we keep everything connected to it. So upsetting emotions have different energy than uplifting emotions. Because they have different energy, those feelings tend to rise to the top. So if you reached into someone's jug and they were holding on to feelings of anger, fear, sadness, pain, even if there was love or tenderness or desire or pleasure underneath, what you're most likely to get is the upsetting feelings. And every layer of upsetting feelings that we hold inside, and keep in mind, it's not about having the feelings, it's about holding them inside. Each layer we hold inside is another layer that buries our ability to feel tenderness, joy, pleasure, desire, love, relief. Now, what are some of the reasons people hold those feelings in?
Fear.
Excuse me? Fear. What'd you say?
Fear.
Fear of?
Being misunderstood.
Yeah, that's people, okay. Fear of, what else? What are some other reasons?
Maybe they were never taught how to express their feelings.
Not knowing what to do with it. What
Fear of
else?
rejection.
Yeah, they could be
Being judged.
judgment, rejection.
Not knowing what's going to happen if you do let that emotion come out.
Could
How
lose
the other
control.
person's going to feel or how it's going to affect them.
Yeah.
Vulnerability, maybe feeling vulnerable for some reason. Some people think, that's a weakness maybe.
Yeah, a lot of people. There's a lot of messages that were taught by people with great intentions. Boys don't cry, don't be a sissy. You got to be able to control your feelings. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. Yes.
I'm thinking timing too. Context. You get that circle, and there may be times in a deployment cycle or in a life cycle or in a movement cycle that are not good to express, or that someone could feel or believe. It's not good to express really intense emotions because you just have to get through the practical day-to-day
Sure.
stuff.
If I was on a plane and one engine went out and the pilot had to land it, I wouldn't want to see him saying, "I'd like some time to express my feelings about it." but after we land and everybody's safe, I would. But you're absolutely right about timing. Absolutely right. Someone's in the battlefield, and they're protecting somebody.
And unfortunately, that happens a lot where someone is in the battlefield and they get an instant message of some sort that is an explosion of this big jug. and it just takes them offline, more than an explosion in front of their foot.
Emotions are very powerful. They can be powerful. Emotions themselves are not the problem. Anger, fear, sadness, disappointment, none of those feelings are a problem. Those are all very normal reactions to the events of our lives. There are plenty of events every day, every week, every month, certainly in a lifetime, there'd be something wrong with us if we didn't have those feelings. But it's the bottling up of them that causes the problem. It's not the feelings. It's the same with trauma. It's the holding in the trauma, not the release of the trauma, of the experiences that causes so much pain and true suffering. So as those feelings are bottled up, they start to leak. And they leak out through what we call dirty fighting. And we see this everywhere. You know, there's rarely a place you can go. I saw somebody's driving around the highways of Ohio or Pennsylvania, shooting people. They leak. Some people, become sarcastic. Some people ridicule. Some people blame. Some people taunt. Some people make fun of. Some people put up a big stone wall. People have ways of leaking. None of those are ways that we were born to be. When you look in your mind or from your memory at that newborn just freshly brought into the world, they weren't born, those aren't normal ways to be. Those are signs that our jug is leaking when we're acting that way. And leaking, why? Maybe from a lifetime of stuff. Maybe from an event, who knows why. It doesn't really matter why. And it doesn't have to make sense. Emotions do not have to make sense. If someone's going around thinking, I've got to figure out and make sense of everything, a lot of things don't make sense. They are what they are. So the way you know if your or someone else's jug is full or getting full is leaking. That if you see that people are behaving in those ways, that's a sign that their jug is leaking. Now, often what happens is we assume that someone's leaking jug is about us. That someone's sarcasm is about us, that someone's bullying is about us, that someone's blaming or ridiculing is about us. And many people grow up in homes with people who are leaking, because and those people grow up in homes with people who are leaking, and perhaps the ones before them too. And it can be very easy to think that because people are behaving that way, that somehow it's a reflection of us. It's not. It's a reflection of them. And not because they're bad, doesn't mean they might do some bad things, but often because they're not bad, often because they're trying so hard to not rock the boat or hurt anybody, they're stuffing everything inside. And part of this concept was developed by Dr. George Bach, who had gone around the country interviewing murderers in prisons and found that most had murdered someone they had once loved. And they were often the kindest, most sensitive people that were holding in and burying layer after layer after layer after layer until in a split second they did something they could never ever fix or take back. Now eventually all that energy goes one of two ways. People might try to put a cork on it, and people do. Some people medicate. We have veterans that come into our Operation Sacred Trust program with lists this long medications. It's like the Walking Dead. It's very hard to experience anything, to feel anything, to really know anything. People can look for ways to disappear from it. There's lots of ways that we might try to do it. But eventually all those feelings go one of two places. Some of us implode. And the way you know if you're imploding, it starts with just a general state of sadness. That, be at Disney World, you could be celebrating something great, lots of good stuff, but there's just this general constant state of sadness, and another extreme depression, and at the ultimate extreme, people take their lives. And as I would guess everyone in this room knows, more soldiers die today from suicide than combat. And I believe it's because of this. But for the most part, it's because they're following rules that say don't feel what you feel. You're not supposed to feel that, so they bury it and bury it and bury it and bury it, and in their cases it explodes inwardly. Other people explode outwardly. And the way you know if someone's exploding outwardly is basically a short fuse. Like waking up every day looking for some reason to be upset. Too hot, too cold, too sunny, too rainy. Talk too loud, talk too soft. Too many cars, too few cars. You know, the channel's fuzzy, the channel's not fuzzy. Looking for some justification for that, to go off. And anyone who's looking for it will find it. We live in a world that is as it is. There's always stuff to find. That's what, and for people who have that short fuse, they will find it. At another extreme, it becomes violence. And who do you think the violence is towards?
Person closest to you.
That's right. It's towards people that if anyone else threatened them, there would be a price to pay. It's not towards people on a battlefield thousands of miles away. It's towards the people that they love the most because they're exploding. So, and the ultimate extreme is homicide. Those are not good options. So, but what you said about, you know, in terms of the why, so much of that why is because people don't know what to do with it. We do entire weekends on emotional release, which can be very healing and meaningful. In this class, we teach one exercise. It's a good exercise. It's a helpful exercise. It's an exercise that I know could save lives. I hope it's an exercise you're going to share with some of the people you minister to during your deployment. And it's called emptying the emotional jar. No matter what either of them share in this exercise, nobody is to bring it up with them. Not to say I identified with them, not to say I didn't. Absolutely nothing they said is to be brought up, including by your partner who's the listener. I don't know who's going to be the speaker and who's going to be the listener, but whatever someone shares in this exercise, if it's true or if it's not true, whatever you feel about it, whatever you think about it, keep it to yourself. If the person who shared wanted to talk about it later, they could bring it up. That's what makes it safe for people to do this. What often keeps people from confiding different levels of emotions is they're filtering based on their expectation of what the response will be. So in this exercise, the only response to the speaker is going to be thank you. That is the only response, thank you. It's not I understand, it's not going to be let me tell you how lucky you are, it's not going to be it could have been worse, it's not going to be well why'd you put yourself in that situation, it's not going to be any of those things. It's just going to be thank you. Who's going to be the one confiding and who's going to be asking the questions?
You'll be doing the talking.
Okay. So, and Troy, what I ask is that you look as deep within yourself as you can, and whatever you model in terms of your willingness to be vulnerable, will pretty much set the bar for everybody else. So this is the way the exercise goes. Is you're going to ask Troy, you're going to take hands, they're in a leveling position, and I'll just explain to the group and then you do it. I'll explain quickly. You're going to ask Troy, you're going to say, Troy, what are you mad about? And whatever you're mad, whatever it is, and you're going to stay away from issues that are about her. For this exercise, for doing it here, nothing that's directly about your partner. All right? There are other times you could do it, but in the beginning when you're learning it, nothing about your partner. Nothing that could be like throwing a spear, because you're just listening with your heart. You got no protection. There's no barrier. So you're going to ask him what he's mad about. Whatever he says, you're going to say thank you, and then you're going to continue to ask and continue to listen to his responses. Continue to thank him after each one, and you're not going to stop asking until you've looked under every rock and crevice inside you with the brightest searchlight you can find, and you can't find anything else. And you'll just say there's nothing else. And then you're going to say, if you weren't mad about anything else, what would it be? And you're going to search again. And then you're going to go to sad, do the same thing with what he's sad about.
Right.
It's exactly the same process. Then you're going to go, what are you scared or worried about? Some people are more comfortable with instead of mad, some people say angry, some people instead of saying scared, say worried, same thing, and then you go to glad. And that's the process. You ready?
Ready.
Yes.
I'm confused on the questions. So I'm asking first, what are you mad about? Then, what else are you mad about? And then after they say, that's about it. Then you say if you were mad about anything else, is that right?
Right, you're going to continue to ask what they're mad about, and same with each of the others, until they have nothing else.
Right.
And I can tell you that I've done this exercise with people where they spend 3 hours
Right.
on what they're,
Sure.
what's there. And sometimes it's much less, and sometimes the first couple times it's less, and then it's more, and lots of other examples in between. But you continue to ask. It's like peeling away the layers of the onion. So you continue to ask, and you see where somebody's willing to go with that. And the goal of this exercise is to make room for joy. The more somebody is willing to give expression to feelings of anger, fear, sadness, etc., the more the opportunity to feel joy and pleasure will rise up within us.
Thank you.
And the better our ability to think clearly, which gets blocked by those, by the impact of those feelings.
Troy, what are you mad about?
I'm mad about the fact that I'm pretty much a spitting image of my father and how his relationship and my relationship is kind of portrayed to you. And those are the things that I want to change or make better in our relationship, as I expressed earlier.
Thank you. What else are you
Thank you. What else are you mad about?
I'm also mad about the idea that I am upset at myself for not, in the past, for not being able to express myself, let's say more in a romantic way to you, that I would like to. That's something that I need to work on.
Thank you. Oh, what else are you mad about?
Those are the two big things.
Continue asking. It doesn't matter how long the list is.
What else I am mad about is ability to communicate with you. I think it's kind of hitting the same things I've discussed regarding our relationship, be able to understand you and your feelings to me. So in other words, being able to reiterate to you or back to you your frustrations and what you're feeling.
Thank you. What else are you mad about?
I'm also mad about the fact that, not knowing where the future holds, for me being in the Marine Corps, and I'm mad and upset about, or if anything, worried about, that's part of the mad part, sure. I'm more, I can say, mad about the cutbacks in the Marine Corps, the budget, and how that may affect, I can't say my career, but anybody's career is on the table. It's more competitive. So the way that is going, the unknown,
Thank you. What else are you mad? What else are you mad about?
I think that might be it.
Troy, if you were mad about anything else, what would it be?
About being able to, I'm mad about coming into our marriage and just making sure that we are stable financially and, in relationship, as we move forward with our kids and grandkids. So I think the ability to balance the budget in our family, being able to stay ahead of that and trying to find frustrating than anything because it's mentally stressful.
That's everything. What are you sad about?
I'm sad about the fact that I feel like I have failed you in some ways in terms of not being able to maintain a level headedness in terms of issues that come up and stuff. So being able to feel like we're not a sinking ship when issues arise, and I kind of give into that. That's usually what I'm sad about. So the issues could be from what I talked about, or anything that comes our way. That's pretty much it.
All right, if you were sad about it.
If you were sad about anything, what else would you be sad about?
Well, I'd be sad about let's see, the ability to fact that we have a 21-year-old and being able to keep a rein on him in ways of making sure he understands. And sometimes he's very stubborn and does his own thing. I'm sad that the relationship that he has is struggling, but it does sadden me that he doesn't listen at times in your and my counseling to him about advice that we think is pertinent to their relationship. So it's sad to me that he doesn't listen.
Thank you. What are you scared or worried about?
Well, that we may end up not losing him in terms of obviously his life, but losing him in terms of him putting a barrier between us. So that's
What else are you worried about?
that's it.
If you were worried or scared about something else, what would it be?
Their relationship.
What are you glad about?
I'm glad about that. I can empty my emotional jug or empty and share with you
Thank you. What else are you glad about?
our relationship. And I'm glad about
What else are you glad about?
Also glad about the ability to be here and grow.
What else are you glad about? If there was anything else that you'd be glad about, what would it be?
Well, being able to share with others, learn from this.
No padding. Thank you.